I'll have a hamburger, for which I will gladly pay you Tuesday.
Hi, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about the time value of money. To do that, we're going to talk about an idea called present value. We're going to talk about borrowing, lending, and interest. We're going to talk about definition of present value, exactly what it means, and future value. We'll also talk about using present value to make decisions. Let's start with an example. So let's say there's $1,000 on the table. Would you rather have that today or tomorrow? I think you'd rather have it today. Why? Well, because you can use it to get the things you want without waiting. Now, how much is it worth to you to get that money today instead of tomorrow? That's an important question for us in this discussion. Also important is, what is it worth, or what does the person who gave it up need to get in order to give it up for a year so you can have it? That's important too. So this giving and getting and what you'd need to get in return, it's all about borrowing, lending, and interest. Let's use an example. Davis needs $100,000 to start a Porsche repair business, but he's broke. Now, there's Davis's first customer. Looks like he wrecked his Porsche, so Davis needs to start that business. Kenzie will loan him the money, but she needs to get something in return, because if she loans it to him, she's not going to have that $100,000, and there's opportunity costs associated with that. Now, she could have put the money in the bank and earned 3% risk-free, but because there's a risk in loaning anybody money, she has to get more interest. So Davis is going to get that $100,000, but he has to pay 10% interest. What does that look like? Well, after a year, Kenzie gets her $100,000 back plus 10% of the loan amount. Now, what does that look like in terms of the math? Well, simply put, $100,000 is the base amount of the loan plus 10% of $100,000, so that for 2 years, the loan amount, well, it's very simple. Equals the way the math works. If you take a look at this, $100,000 times 1.1, which is this, times 1.1, because it was year one and year two. And that's, in that case, it's $121,000 that she will get in return. So let's summarize. Davis, as the borrower, has to pay Kenzie $21,000 to compensate her for the fact that he has her $100,000 for a period of 2 years, in the second part of that example. This implies that Kenzie would then be completely indifferent between having $100,000 in her pocket today or $121,000 2 years from today. Said another way, $121,000 2 years from now, so in the future, is the same as $100,000 today or present. Let's take an example that might be familiar from what you've read and seen, not necessarily what any of us has won. USA Mega Millions. January 28th, it was a $146 million jackpot. There's also a number in there that they used that's $91.4 million. What's the difference? Well, if you were to win the USA Mega Millions today, you could tell them you want all that money up front. You get $91 million. 146, if you really want that, you get it over 30 years. Look at the difference there between those two numbers. In just the pure amounts, 146 sounds like a heck of a lot more than 91. Why is that? Well, you get $91 million today, you get $146 million over 30 years. Okay, let's talk now about definition and calculation of present value. In order to do that, we're going to start with future value. And we know that future value equals present value times some interest rate, as we saw in the Davis and Kenzie example. Speaking of that example, future value equals $100,000 times 1.10, where the $100,000 is present value. 10% was the interest rate, so 1 plus the interest rate is going to be 1.1 in this example to get $110,000. Now, let's move that equation around a little bit. You get present value equals future value over 1 plus the interest rate. So the present value of the $110,000 is nothing more than $110,000, or future value, over 1 plus the interest rate, $100,000. Let's think again about the 2-year example. There you see that equation, $100,000 times 1.1 times 1.1 equals $121,000. Future value, in this case, and we need to be particularly pay attention to a couple of new terms here. Future value, so like this equation up here, future value is going to equal present value times 1 plus the interest rate. But remember, it's 2 years, so 1 plus r times 1 plus r equals, and here's where our superscript t comes in here for time. So present value 1 plus r times 1 plus r equals present value 1 plus r to the t, or present value equals future value divided by 1 plus r to the t. So all I did here is manipulated those two equations like I did up top. So what is that t? Well, the t is 2 in this case for 2 years. Let's summarize again. Money today is more valuable than the same amount of money in the future. The present value of $1 received 1 year from now is what? $1. So that is future value over 1 plus the interest rate. The future value of $1 is 1 times 1 plus the interest rate. Remember, interest paid on savings and interest charged on borrowing is designed to do what? To equate the value of dollars today with the value of future dollars. Let's take another example. What if Will told Alex he could invest $100,000 now and receive a guaranteed $200,000 10 years later? Is it a good deal? I don't know. Depends on other uses of the money. Let's see what else he can do. He can put $100,000 in an alternative investment earning 8%. Well, let's see then what that future value of that $100,000 looks like. Future value equals, again, $100,000 times 1.08, that's the interest rate, to the 10th, and I'm sorry I didn't superscript this, $215,000. Now, what is the $200,000 in 10 years worth today? So we've gone both ways, future value of the 100 and present value of the 200,000. Well, let's see. Present value of 200,000, just turning this equation around, 200,000 over 1 times the interest, 1 plus the interest rate to the 10th equals $92,638. So, turns out he'd only have to invest $92,000 to get $200,000 in 10 years. So I would say he should bail on this because he can actually do better in this alternative investment. To summarize again, present value of $1 received t years from now is 1 over 1 plus the interest rate to the t. So raised to the t number of years. Future value, turn the equation around, after t years of time of $1 invested today is 1 times 1 plus the interest rate to whatever that time is. All right, that is it. Have a great night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.